Me, I like football. There's a lot of things around, but when you line them up together, the footy wins hands down. Here we go, everybody. Uno, two, four. Up there, 'cause I live in there and fight. Out there and at 'em.
My name's Peter Dakin. I'm MC for today. We'd like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri and the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation, and also pay our respects to elders past, present and future, and extend that respect to all Indigenous Australians present today. Welcome to our hybrid meeting for any of those who are online today. For our lunch attendees, you'll find on your table a list of footy quiz questions. Appoint a scribe at your table and complete the quiz. Answers and winners will be announced following today's panel presentation. Give it your full attention, as those famous Rotary socks from Phil Ennisby will be up for grabs today. Thanks will be given today by Tony Battiani, followed by the Loyal Toast presented by Vice President Branco. Please ensure your glass is charged. Thanks, Tony.
So grand finals, World Athletic Championships. We celebrate Australia's wonderful talent when we honour our sports stars. In a troubled world, sport delivers the buzz that elevates the nation. It gives us permission to focus on young Australians at their best. In 128 seasons of AFL-VFL, only 1,641 footballers have played in a winning premiership team. Being a premiership winning player next Saturday is a 1 in 90,000 event. That's how rare it is. Being our best at whatever we do serves the community. Okay, it's not the same as being the best, which is rare air, and we have somebody in the room today in that space. But let's appreciate the best, be amazed at the skills on display, and then to commit to being our best. Rotary makes the world a better place by providing opportunities for youth. Interact clubs, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, Rotary Youth Exchanges enable young people to develop leadership skills, gain confidence, build peace one young person at a time, learn a new language, discover another culture, and become truly global citizens. These are young Australians at their best. So for fellowship forged in service to others and friendships formed by good company shared over a fine meal, we give thanks.
Rotarians and guests, a toast to Australia and Rotary International. Thank you. Please be seated. We will be breaking for lunch now. For those online, please join the breakout room. A copy of the quiz questions will be posted online, and you will be able to work as a group together to answer those questions and participate in the quiz. And for everyone else, we'll be back here at 1:10. Thank you. Enjoy your lunch.
Well, that was certainly an enjoyable lunch. Now, would you please welcome Vice President Branco to take over the meeting? We've got a pretty busy schedule, and keep going on your quiz questions.
Members, visitors and guests, my great pleasure to welcome you to our 12th meeting of the Rotary year, our 5,095th club meeting in our 105th year. It's great to see you all here today, particularly in your club colours, and as well all the people who are online. Given I'm a Collingwood supporter, I only see black and white out there, but that's okay. I'm sure there's other colours. So welcome to our 2025 Grand Final lunch. President Phillip sends his apologies as he's travelling to Japan via Bali for his daughter's wedding. So he'll be back soon. As our guest speaker today, we have AFL legendary coach and player David Parkin, OAM. David will be more fully introduced later in the program by our Chair of the Day, Past President Peter Dakin, and Moderator, Past President Bill Endesby. In the meantime, would you please join me in welcoming and making them all welcome. The grand final lunch would not be possible without the efforts of past presidents Peter Dakin and Phil Endesby and members of the Go Pies team. Yeah, responsible for delivering today's quiz despite the disappointment from last weekend. Luckily, we did the quiz before the weekend, so we had time to recover. I'm grateful for their time and efforts and for attending today. Thank you, everyone. Now, we have other visiting Rotarians and visitors and guests of members here today. I invite you and your host to stand when your name is announced and ask that you remain standing to enable us to welcome you all collectively. So, visiting the club today, we have Susan Francia, guest of Chris Soteropoulos. We have Connor Weeks, a guest of Clive Weeks. We have David Tenenbaum, a guest of Sana Malik. We have Michael Watts, a guest of Mimi Watts. We have Mike Gonale, a guest of Karen Gonale. We have James Major, a guest of Peter Major. Judy Smith, a guest of Bruce Livet. Mark Foritas, a guest of Stephen Rando. And Anastasia Malashev, a guest also of Stephen Rando. Please join me in making them all welcome. Now I call Rosemary Nixon, our project lead for the Rotary Footy Tipping Competition, to update us on the results.
Thanks, Branko. I'd like to report the results of the footy tipping. We raised almost $2,000 for the club, and we're distributing almost $1,300 in prizes, which are a mixture of will be some vouchers from Wilderness Wear, also some bottles of wine and some cash prizes. I'll read out the winners. I'd just like to acknowledge many of the relatives of club members, particularly the Weeks family, who are very successful. Some of the people I only ever know by their email address. Equal fifth, we have Sophie, Linda Holmes, Will Abdo, our very own. Austin Gurley, who also won $100 for a shared prize for being ahead at round 6 and round 12. Equal fourth on 155, Benny, who's related to Gary Fowler, Andrew Weeks, and Damien Deckett. Equal third on 156, David Crow and Bob Burgess, who also won a prize for being ahead at round 6. Equal second on 157 was Noel Fink and our own Reg Smith. And first at 158 was Marcus Weeks, who also won the prize for round 18 and round 12. And I'd just like to invite our own Reg, Bob and Austin to come here for applause and photos. So they will be receiving some money in the mail, of course, and John and Hugh photos.
I'm in trouble here.
There you go. I'll put the screen up on for you on the lectern.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks very
not the
much.
first,
See you next year,
not the
and
first
Karen
paragraph,
has
but
suggested
this
a
one.
prize for last.
And you could just mention that he paid for Hawthorn. I don't think it meant. Oh yeah, it says coach.
Thank you, Rosemary. And now we come to some announcements
I'll put it up on the-
with birthdays and anniversaries. Rabbi John Levy celebrates 45 years as a member today. That's an outstanding achievement.
Oh, where is he? Big part of me.
Also, recently Bob Burgess celebrated 49 years of membership, and I understand he's here, obviously. Stand up, Bob. Bob was inducted in 1976 under the classification of actuarial services. And following in the footsteps of his father, Sam, Bob has served across many committees, including community welfare, international programs, welfare of the young and elderly. Bob has led with fellowship and served on the reception committee as a much valued greeter and group captain for the Melbourne group. In 2018, he was named a Paul Harris Fellow of the club. In Bob's own words, I'm very proud and grateful to have been a member of this great club. Rotary does such wonderful things locally and around the world. I've seen more than 40 presidents come and go, and each has left their mark on the club. Bob, your own mark has been lasting and profound. Congratulations and thank you for your 49 years of remarkable service, and well done with your footy tipping as well. And now to the business of the day, with the chair of the day, past President Peter Dakin. Please step forward and take over. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Branko, very much indeed. Well, it's my absolute pleasure to be introducing David Parkin, OAM. David is one of Australia's football's most respected figures, and I really, really mean that. A Hawthorn Premiership captain, 211 game player, a four-time Premiership coach with Hawthorn and Carlton. Widely regarded as one of the game's most influential modern coaches. David's leadership extended beyond the field as an educator, mentor and commentator. His insights into teamwork, resilience and performance have made him a sought-after speaker well beyond the sporting arena. We're very grateful for him to be with us today because I know he's got a number of engagements this week. Beyond the field, David is a passionate advocate for men's health and spoke to the club many, many years ago. He serves as director of the Mailbag Foundation Limited, alongside past President Phil Endersby and Doug Marshall. What began as a fun idea to ride postie bikes across the country is grown into a powerful awareness campaign for prostate cancer with a special focus on rural men's health. Through their iconic rides and events, the foundation works to reduce the impact of prostate cancer for men in the bush and the people who love them. Now, could I ask Phil Endersby to come up as our moderator, and David, if you are happy to come up here to join us as well.
We haven't got a handheld, so I can go there. Pull out a lot of things that a lot of people might not know about. So tell me, David.
I'm not sure. I like where this is going.
No. So you went to Melbourne High.
I did.
Now, for those who don't know, Melbourne High, selective intake of students. So my question to David is, did you get in there on the basis of your academic record or your sporting prowess?
Neither, actually. In those days, and there wouldn't be, a few people just about old enough to remember, but there were a massive group of central schools around Victoria who went to year 8. And Melbourne High was a selective high school, that, like University High School, that took the students from those central schools, which was unusual. They graduated at year 8 and went into Camberwell High School and Melbourne High School and University High School in year 9. Sadly, my brother, who was a highly intelligent boy and he was 2 years ahead of me, my brother topped the school at Melbourne High School. This was when it was a non-selective school. But Des wanted to do medicine and he was 15. So he wasn't allowed to take up his place of medicine at Melbourne University. So he went back and did his second year. And I'm there at the school now, second year, of which he did a different group of 6 subjects and topped the school again for the second time. And here's dummy Dave coming along, I could kick and catch a footy, but I was not too sharp. And I'm following my brother. You can imagine what that was like, the expectation of me, which just didn't happen. Fortunately, I could kick and catch a footy and bowl a cricket ball, and I ended up. Bill Woodfall was our principal, Bill, and he was wonderful to me. Absolutely, couldn't be a better person. The tragedy was in my final year that one of my prefect mates thought it was very funny when they had a guy come in from the drinking, what's the anti-alcohol, whatever they are, the what was it, the non-drinking people, and a guy came from the Anonymous, what's it called, Bob Anonymous, Alcoholic Anonymous there. And while he was speaking with a real passion, out of the ceiling directly above his head, this is 1,200 kids in the hall at Melbourne High School, this beer bottle spinning and came down slowly and stopped about a minute, but he had no idea. Everybody else in the building did. So sadly, two of my good mates, I thought it was very clever. They didn't finish their year at Melbourne High School, I can tell you that. So I was lucky enough to have Bill Woodfall as my principal, and he looked after me pretty well.
So, Parker, back after school, I'm not too sure how it went in those days, but you were drafted in the 60s to Hawthorn. Were you in the zone?
Yeah,
did you have a draft? Or?
No, I didn't have a draft in those days. I was a lunatic Melbourne supporter from the time of 1949. I've been a member of the Melbourne Football Club since 1949, and it's been a great journey in terms of their success. Not so good in the last few years, but it's been a wonderful association with that particular club. Hawthorn, I was forced to go and play with the brown and gold mob, brown and gold, terrible. Anyway, I was there in their first, would you believe I played the last game in round, whatever it was in those days, round 20 in 1961, which was the year of their first premiership, so I was reasonably close. I played so well, I didn't get a touch of the ball in the half of the game, didn't even touch it once. And so I watched the 1961 final series, which was Hawthorn's first premiership. So I was lucky enough to be there in that year under the great John Kennedy, but wasn't good enough to play.
I mean, back in those days, did you work your way through the seconds and then into the firsts, or did you?
Get straight in? No, I didn't get straight in at all. No, I played quite some time in the seconds before I got the opportunity to play.
Now, one of the things I can remember you saying to me some years ago when you were at Carlton was that you're a great advocate for the players to be studying at the same time or have a bit of a job, etc., etc. Back in your day, when you were playing, did you study?
Look, everybody in those days, and I don't know that the game's any better for it, that they basically become full-time professionals. The club, the most successful club in terms of games won over the last 20 years is, in fact, the Geelong Football Club, who are playing in the finals now. They're the only club that have employed, even right now, they employ 4 people, the only club in the competition now who employ 4 full-time welfare managers who are responsible for their lives other than their football. And so they've got 2 females and 2 males who are working, and Geelong have every player involved in something else other than their football, even if it's a community service or whatever it happens to be, because they think a balanced player is going to be a better performer, and they've certainly won 160 or 70 more games than the other club in the competition at the moment. And I think it's based on this great balance that they have, which started with Brian Cook, and fortunately Geelong have continued to do that. Even Collingwood, our great Collingwood club, have now, just for the first year this year, have a second person to look after both the male and the female players. Only 2 there, as against Geelong, who have 4 people still completely employed in that particular venture. Sorry.
You're right. Well, I mean, one of the things that was mentioned earlier by Peter was that David played 211, 212 games there with Hawthorn. Captain from 68 to 71, and you were captain when they won, I think, their second premiership in 1971.
Correct.
So when you think back to those days, who were some of the standout players that you came up against, and who were some of the toughest players that you came up against?
My memory's so poor I can't even know. I didn't find many. No, was a different game. I played in the back pocket, which means that you
Okay.
stood there for 95 minutes watching everybody else play, and you played for 5 minutes. Now, the game is so different today that everybody's involved basically for 95 minutes and they can watch or but not participate for 5 minutes. So the game's so much more demanding now than it ever was on the particular players. I've got a son, Anthony, who's been the recruiting manager for new talent at the Port Adelaide Football Club. And couldn't get him a job at Carlton, couldn't get him a job at Hawthorn, couldn't get him a job at Fitzroy, couldn't get him a job anywhere. It's terrible, isn't it, when your son fails like that? But he was at and still is at Port Adelaide and been responsible for the young talent that particular club has. So it's been a really interesting journey. My 4 kids growing up were Carlton supporters, so the grandkids have become Carlton supporters. They absolutely filthy with me that I forced them down that pathway with Carlton, had no success whatsoever. So I don't get along too well with my grandchildren, unfortunately.
Now, just tell me, in your day, we're pretty strong on sort of state rep football. Teddy Whitten then started to, make a bit of a push. Is there a future for state of origin type games in
I would
the AFL
love to.
or
Yeah,
not?
no, that's a good question. I think it's one of the things that should be available, but clubs will put enormous pressure on players to make themselves unavailable. The way that they play, they'll be terrified to get injured. If you go out and you play being terrified to get injured, you certainly will. So it's a bit sad that the opportunity to represent your state and play for your state, which was one of the great things I had in my life. I played state football as a player and I coached state football as a coach. It was one of the most enjoyable things that I was about, but they were serious about playing in those days. So I think it's a bit sad that the opportunity won't be available.
Just tell me, coaching is a blood sport too. And I do reflect back on when you were the Hawthorn coach, you had that great success. You took them to a premiership. Then as things started to go down the track.
Got sacked.
Yeah, got sacked. No, they were sniffing around for a new coach.
Oh,
You got wind of it. You tell us about that.
Oh, that's funny.
And
Yeah,
then you went.
Well, yes, we won a premiership in 78, 79, 80, we finished, I can't think, 5th or 6th all. And I had a ring from one of the, arrived at my doorstep in Mount Waverley. I'll never forget, he's at 1 o'clock in the morning, he was a member of the committee at the Hawthorn Football Club. And he said, I've got to tell you, they're discussing, very loyal, honest bloke, they're discussing your future or non-future at the Hawthorn Football Club. I thought, I should let you know. So I went down and wrote out my resignation. I had a key to the door and put it on the secretary's desk, and they couldn't accept it fast enough. So I was lucky enough to have, unlucky that John Elliott was the leader of it, but lucky enough to have another club, the Carlton Football Club, show some immediate interest and offer me the opportunity to go and coach there. For those who know John Elliott or work with him along the way, there are a few older people here that would understand what I was talking about. Probably, I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say that publicly, he was the worst person I've met in football, but we didn't have the greatest relationship, but once I got him to worry about raising the money, keeping the debt, and that I could look after the football, we got along pretty well.
Yeah, so you went there in 81 till 86. I think there was... apart from John Elliott, Ian Collins was there, CEO. It would have been as tough as boot leather. And then in your first year, you had success. Won the premiership in what, 81?
81, yeah. We had a very good team. It's easy to win premierships when you've got the best group of players, but anyway.
So they give you free rein to go and do whatever you want to do when they took you on.
Yeah, no, they were very, very good, I'd have to say. The Carlton Football Club have been terrific. It's a bit sad where they are at the moment, and I have the current coach living about 50 metres from my place, and I'm giving him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation every third week. Michael Voss is one of the better people I've met in my life as a person. I think he's a half reasonable coach. The football club have made some disastrous decisions in the last few years in terms of the leadership they don't have. They have made some fabulous decisions in the last month. They've got two of the best people that I've had the privilege of working with in football and now running the football side of it at the Carlton. It will be, no doubt, a rosy future. it's going to take some time though to get the players that they need.
Bit sad though that Jax Silvani sort of said, "Well, I've got to get out." I think
Well,
family,
and
family heritage goes.
yeah, and the person who was not helping the Silvani family is now one of those who's just lost his job. And we may not have lost Stephen along the way, and that's the saddest thing, that Stephen Silvani, who was the fullback of the century, etc., and they've had a long. Interestingly enough, my ex-wife, Lynn, and Stephen's mum, Rita, are still very much passionate Carlton Ladies Committee, and they go to the football together. So at least one member of the Silvani family, being mum, is still a committed Carlton person.
Now, in '85, Carlton,
Yep.
I think you had a pretty good run. You got through to the preliminary final. You lost the preliminary final, and then Carlton pulled the pin on you and gave you the sack. And it is a blood sport as the coach. But my understanding is that you then swapped jobs with Robert Walls. Is that right?
Yeah, look, it might be a little bit interesting here. Robert was a teacher like me, primary school teacher. We'd had a very good relationship along the way. Till if you know, he decided to take his own life a few weeks back, which he did, which is really sad in a sense, but he lived the life that he wanted to, and he didn't want to hang around with the difficulties that he had. I loved Rob, and I got sacked whenever it was. I got appointed on the Tuesday and sacked on the Thursday by Ian Collins, and then I had to go to Channel 7. And on the Sunday week, which stage I'd been offered the Fitzroy job. And I'm going into Channel 7, who's coming out but Robert Walls. And he said, "Dave, you and I should have a talk." I said, "I don't think so." So I'm not very happy about the circumstances. You're taking my job, etc. He said, no, and I said no. So I went in and did my interview, but I came out, Robert Walls was still there. He said, "Now don't be stupid now." He said, "Sit down together, we can go through our players. You're going to coach mine, I'm going to coach yours." And it was the best decision of but this good decision of Robert's, not mine. So we sat down for 3 hours. We went through every player on the Carlton and Fitzroy list. And I learnt in 3 hours all that would have taken me a year to learn working with these players at the club. And so we started, and you won't remember, but Hawthorn ended up winning it. Second was the Carlton Footy Club, and third was the Fitzroy Footy Club.
Well, no, exactly.
And in terms of coaching, it was my best year, seriously, of coaching. They managed to sack me 2 years later, but anyway, that's another story.
Well, I mean,
I've been sacked more times than you people have had breakfast, really.
now, one of the things back in those days, '86 at Fitzroy, I do recall the club financially, they weren't tracking too well. And in those days, the directors all had to put their houses on the line to go guarantor for the Westpac Bank commercial bill that the club had. So, and I do remember being told that the players hadn't been paid for 4 weeks, and we had a fantastic list, must admit.
We did.
But what about your payment? Did you get paid for being the coach?
Yeah, in a round.
Where did the money come from?
Well, I can't say that. I'll end up in jail. But I did get paid.
Thank goodness.
Sort of.
Sort of. Ah, golly gosh. Well, when you sort of think about it, you then went back to Carlton. I can't believe it, after you've been sacked, and you ended up back there in from 91 to 2000.
In between, can I just say, Phil, in between time, I was lucky enough, the AFL appointed me, would you believe, as the director of coaching for the umpires. And I was the greatest critical person of umpiring, and for the first time in my life, I got to understand how difficult the job that they were doing was. And one of the more enjoyable experiences I had, and I'm still very good mates with a number of the guys, was working with the umpiring fraternity for 2 years in the difficulties they had with the game. It was at a time when the game was expanding in a way that we see it today. I mean, it's the most, other people might have differing ideas, but there is no game in the world that demands more of its participation as Australian football in terms of the skills that they have, the conditioning and fitness work that they require to play. It's by far, in my opinion, and that's been my background in physical education, is by far the most difficult game in the world to play. So I have great admiration. And we've got a problem now that the capacity of us to prepare young people on the system on the way through to be able to compete at that level has become reduced significantly. And I talked to Anthony, who's in the process of selecting people at a young age. He says it's more difficult than it's ever been. And the interesting thing is they start off by going and talking to the parents. Number of times Anthony says that they've gone to meet mum and dad in their home, having seen the kid play, and he can obviously got some ability, and they go and talk to mum and dad, and they don't go any further. They say that this kid won't have the values and behaviours that are required to make it. This is the toughest game in the world to play. And so they don't even make the second base by going and recruiting the players. It seems to me it's been, pretty interesting change in footy over the period of time. I don't understand the game at all that's played in the way that we play now. I find it's more difficult to play, significantly more difficult to umpire. My young mate of mine he's missed his first grand final this week. Matt Stevick, umpire number 9, as you may have seen, is the best ball bouncer in the competition. Graduate student of mine from Deakin University, and Matt's missed his first grand final in 11 years, so he was very unhappy when I was talking to him yesterday. So yeah, I've got great admiration. Don't get me wrong, I've got great admiration for those who go out and play, and we should see Bill one of the best grand finals.
Well, I wanted to ask you, about a month ago, you were interviewed by SEN, and at that time, you said Crows were going to be the premiers.
Oh, shit, yeah.
And your comment was, and that Brisbane was struggling, and the Pies would not make it, right? So my question now is, who's going to win on Saturday?
I think if I was a betting man, I'm not, but I would probably back Geelong.
Back Geelong? Yes, I must admit.
No, I don't want them
They
to.
are good.
I don't want them to.
No.
The least loving club I had. I was on a cadetship when I finished school. The club that came to me was Geelong. Geelong came to me as a schoolboy. I played in the Melbourne Boys League, and we played an annual game against the Geelong Boys League. And I was playing centre forward and kick goals in those days. I could play a bit as a kid. And Geelong came to me and offered me a cadetship at the Ford Motor Company. The fellow just died last couple of weeks ago. He was 98 years of age and was the was the recruiting manager for Geelong forever. So that's the sort of memory I've got. He came to me, and mum and dad wouldn't let me go and live in Geelong. So I didn't ever take up that cadetship, but Hawthorn offered me a cadetship at the Dunlop Rubber Company. So that's where I went and did my preparation for whatever else.
Now,
Trying to bore you.
No, one final question before we'll open it up to the floor. But one of the things that's always been on my mind was that grand final when Dermy got absolutely poleaxed, a couple of minutes into the game. And I say to myself, what would happen if Danger goes out on Saturday and within 5 minutes he gets absolutely poleaxed? And so my question is, should we have the sin bin only in the grand final?
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't have it?
No, I wouldn't have it, only because it puts terrible pressure on people who've got to make that kind of decision, and that kind of decision would.
It's the hard one.
But yeah, it's the hardest one to learn. I think the umpires have a degree of difficulty now which they've never faced before. They've got 4 of them. I know them all like to stuff it up, but it's a very difficult thing.
Given your experience with umpires and so forth, and recent controversies, should umpires be giving Brownlow votes, or should it be an independent panel?
I'm very happy. It's a Brownlow medal on the umpires. That's what it is. Don't change the tradition. They're not going to get it right, and they don't even see the statistics after the game. I'm amazed they don't sit down, but they've got to make a decision without seeing the statistics and talking to people. The group will get together, and I'm very happy for it to continue to be the umpire's decision, even though every now and then it produces I don't even think an unworthy. I think the bloke who won it this year is very worthy. The bloke who finished second might have been a bit stiff, but the bloke who won it certainly has had a fantastic year and very deserved. So I don't have a problem if we go, the Brownlow medal remains as the Brownlow medal and the umpires' votes. I wouldn't like that personally, but a lot of people, most of the people I talk to were the same. They want it adjudicated by somebody else here.
Who's the best player that you've ever coached?
Good question. I think probably Peter Knights. I had the joy. Peter's one of the most beautiful people that you could ever meet. If you ever get a chance to spend some time with him, he's just a beautiful man as he seemed to be, and I love the way he played. And I think the greatest contest was those who have lived long enough to see the Essendon bloke, Van der Haar, the competition between Van der Haar and Peter Knights on those days where they just went for the ball mark, and one took 11 and one took 10 marks directly as the direct opponents. That's the sort of thing that...
Well, I think I needed to qualify my question a little bit better. Who is the greatest Carlton player that you ever coached?
Well, I know if I don't use his name here and somebody tells him I'm in awful trouble, I think the most instrumental player was probably Greg Williams.
Yeah.
Much as he was the most difficult player to coach. Greg and I have remained reasonable friends despite all the confrontations we've had over time. But, you know, the one I loved most was Kenny Hunter. And Ken was the bravest, you know, skinniest, effective player of all time, and he's continued to do great work for underprivileged people, etc., having suffered the consequences of a massive mental breakdown, trying to commit suicide, all those sorts of things. So there are lots of reasons for loving different people in the game because they've contributed in a very unique way.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Phil. Please stay there. What a fantastic presentation. Articulate speakers, really good. I know you've been sacked for a lot of jobs, but I think there could be a job for you. You could coach Brownlow medal winners on their presentation skills after the Brownlow.
I agree. I know where you're coming from.
Yeah. Okay. So look, thank you so much for the work you put in there, Phil, and David for joining us during such a busy week. And there's a little gift here from Phil from Wilderness Wear, some socks to keep you warm. And show your appreciation.
Thank you very much. I've been privileged and been looked after, and the things I've been a part of. The Rotary has been unbelievably powerful in supporting the work that we've done, particularly in the prostate cancer area. And we've raised more than $2.2 million. We've put 15 machines in rural regional hospitals on the back, basically, of Rotary. Rotary have been the #1 supporter. So I'm so thankful for you having contributed and allow us to achieve what we've done for men in the prostate cancer area. Thank you.
Well done. Very good. Okay. So could I now ask Sam McClarty and Mary Barry to come up to go through our quiz questions? Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll run through the quiz now. I'm sure everyone's got it in front of you and some of you have been filling it in diligently, but what I'll do now is I'll run through all 10 questions, discuss them amongst yourselves, write it down, and then Mary's going to run through the answers. So question 1, which AFL player has kicked the most career goals without ever winning a Coleman medal?
Okay, so check your list and your answers. The answer to question 1 is Peter McKenna, Collingwood versus Carlton, 874 goals.
Question 2, what year did Brisbane Lions win the famous three-peat of premierships?
2003, after winning premierships in 2001, 2002 and 2003.
Question 3, who was the first player to win the Brownlow medal after the AFL, formerly VFL, expanded nationally and changed its name in 1990?
Tony Liberatore, Footscray versus Bulldogs in 1990.
Question 4, which club was known as the Mayblooms before adopting its current nickname?
Hawthorn Hawks.
Question 5, Which club is widely recognised as the oldest football club and claims its formation in 1858?
Melbourne Football Club.
Question 6. What is the name of the Collingwood theme song? And also the name of the music that it's used for.
The name of the song is Good Old Collingwood Forever. Good old Collingwood. And the music is Goodbye Dolly Gray. It's the oldest known team song in the AFL, dating back to 1906.
Question 7. What is the Jack Dyer Award awarded for by the Richmond Footy Club?
The Jack Dyer Award is the best and fairest award at Richmond Football Club. It is named after Jack Dyer, who won it 5 times from 1937 to 1946.
Question 8. Good luck to anyone who gets this one. Has a man played for and coached Melbourne in the VFL? Can you name the other football club in Western Australia that he played for?
South Fremantle. Now, we have a queue here, I was told in my answers. We will accept Fremantle.
Question 9. Who holds the record for the most VFL AFL games played?
Brent Boomer Harvey, North Melbourne. 432 games.
And final question. How many premierships have the Essendon Football Club won in the VFL AFL?
Essendon have won 16 premierships in the VFL AFL era. So back to you, Sam.
Cool. Did any tables get all 10 right? No? What about 9? Did anyone get 9 right? All right. Did anyone get 8 right? 8? 8 at the back? I think that's our winning table then. At the very back. Table 4.
It's taken we always want to get someone that good end speed famous Rotary stock. 210% Australian made. Well done to table number 5. Now we have one more prize to give out, and that is the prize for what we did the best dress. And the prize goes to Adrian Nelson. Come up and show everybody what you're wearing, Adrian. Come on, give us a little fashion parade. Show the end down here what you're wearing. Come on, Adrian, a little twirl on the floor. Oh, yes, let's give Adrian a round of applause. Oh, David, please, come and have your question.
Don't be rude and take over, but
Quite all right.
a couple of years ago, I decided during COVID to write my biography called The Last Quarter, plus timeline. I'm in my, I've started at 75, so I'm 83 now. Only 2 coaches in the history of the game have actually captained their team to a premiership and then come back and separately so they can come back and separately coach their team, which in that 150-year history, a lot of done it as captain and coach combination like that. John Nichols, but 2 of us only. I'm one. And we know the second person who was in fact captain is second. Not Robert Wolf, no. Not Lee Matthews, not Ron Barassi. Oh, good. Take a look out, it looks like. Not Norm. Not Charlie Sutton. Not Ted Whitmer. No. Oh, I'm surprised. In the far west. Come on, what you got? That is incredible, isn't it? 2 people in 150 years have actually captained their team to a premiership, come back separately later and coached the team to a premiership. 2 in 150 years.
Okay, thank you very much for that, and thank you everybody for being here today. And I'd like to thank all our visitors and guests, and it was lovely to have all of you here today. I'd also like to thank our moderator, past president, Philip Endesby, and for today's reflection, Tony McCaney. Also to our Gold Prize preparing and hosting today's quiz, to our lunch and setup reception teams for their weekly effort actually in making all this happen. And a special thank you to Joe Mavra, who got today going, organised the balloons and set it all up. Thank you very much, Joe. Very, very much appreciated. I'd also like to thank Peter Dakin, our another past president, who was our chair today. So thank you very much. And a reminder that next week we'll meet here again for lunch. And our guest speaker is Dr. Jennifer Fitzgerald AM, Group CEO of St. Vincent de Paul. So I hope you can all come next week. And just before we sign off, good